Hello and welcome to StratNews Global. I'm Nitin Gokhale and I'm joined today on this program by Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, who is now entrusted with implementing the defence reforms and of course jointness and integration of all the three armed forces that the government has planned. General Rawat, thank you very much for your time and welcome to this program.
Thank you.
The FDI limit has been raised to 74%. How do you see that panning out? What kind of effect will it have on the Indian defense industry?
Yes, you see what happens is that we do not have the kind of technology that we may require to go in for complete Indianization of our product. And if we want to completely eradicate imports after some time, then we need technology. Now to get this technology, you have to obviously increase the foreign direct investment in defense so that if there are any foreign collaborators who want to either work with our ordnance factories or with our industry, we can invite them. They can set up shop here with nearly 74% FDI being made available to them, which will give them the confidence. And then only thing is that we will also have to support export from that industry, because you see any industry that is going to open base here will be seeking numbers.
Yes.
And upfront they would want to know as to how much will you take and for how many years are we expected to sustain your products. So we'll have to come out with a framework and a policy which says that okay, we will be taking this equipment, but it is not guaranteed that we will be sustaining your complete manufacture.
Right.
So while we will take some of your products, but you will also have to.
So simultaneously, this can be an export hub. India can become an export hub.
That's the idea, and actually that is the idea. We are looking at increasing exports in a very big way.
Right.
And we've been given some targets, and I think if we have to achieve that, then this increase in FDI will certainly help.
And also, since the Indian military is a sole customer for Indian companies or defense companies, they need to have economies of scale. So in that respect, how will you do the export promotion? I think the defense attaches now posted abroad have got a mandate to promote Indian products.
Yes, very recently this mandate has been given to our defense attaches. They have also been provided some funds for this purpose, in the sense that whatever we are manufacturing here can be exported. So our idea is to remain in contact with them, constantly keep updating them on what is coming through in our country and that what is it that we can export. Even today we have been exporting a large amount of defense hardware. I think, but we need to move forward on that in a bigger way, and we look forward to our defense attaches actually becoming more proactive in this.
You have spoken very early after taking over as CDS about the timelines that you would like to set and then implement that. So a couple of things that you had said in the first months was about creating two tri-service commands. One is the Air Defense Command and maybe a Logistics Command. What's the progress and what are the timelines that now you must have got a better idea of how it is going to progress?
Yeah, we have initiated the process for the Air Defense Command, where the lead agency is the Air Force, the Indian Air Force. And let me tell you, they have made good progress. The first presentation has already been given to our headquarters, that is headquarter IDS. We've recommended some minor amendments because we want all these services to be taken along. Because there's no point coming out with a proposal and then there is no synergy between the services. So it's better that we move in a synergized manner. But I would say it is making good headway. We are quite satisfied with that. Now along with that, we decided to also go in for the Maritime Command, for which the Navy has been made the lead service. Now, earlier we had said we'll have a Peninsula Command, and then of course people got into semantics and debates on whether we should call it Peninsula or Ocean or Maritime. I think people have to look at the larger game plan. What are we attempting at, rather than getting into the semantics of, terminologies. When we were thinking of a Peninsula Command, we thought, whether we should merge the Andaman and Nicobar Command as part of it. But then, as we gradually moved on, we said, no, if we have to look at a command, Andaman Nicobar Command should also get merged with this command, whatever we are doing. Therefore, you just can't call it Peninsula Command. So we decided, okay, we'll call it a Maritime Command. So Navy is the lead agency for that. The terms of reference and the directive have been issued to them and they are working at it. They too are making satisfactory progress. And finally, we are also looking at creating some integrated or joint commands, as you may say, for which the Indian Army is the lead agency.
Okay.
So you see, we've given a task to the three
each of the
forces to
service.
see, we feel whatever is their field of expertise, let them deal with that. Of course, they have to take the other services along.
Right.
So you've got an Air Defence Command coming in, you've got the Maritime Command coming in, and work going on also for the integrated or the joint commands.
Right.
Now with that also we are looking at, should we not have integrated logistics? We have done some work on this, and we have created some joint logistics hubs in Chennai, in Mumbai and Guwahati.
Okay.
So these three are, I would say, have almost taken off. In fact, we've made some progress in that. Now looking at the success of this, we will gradually start expanding and seeing if finally we can amalgamate this entire logistics of the three services and create a logistics command. But some amount of integrated logistics has started happening in, as I said, Chennai, Mumbai and Guwahati.
Right. One of your challenges, if I may be a little upfront about this, would be, and I'm guessing this, would be the trying to change mindsets across all the three services. And it's a very onerous task that you have as a first CDS. What is it that you're going to tell, or you are telling the services that, it's not about turf wars, or it's not about taking control, but it's working together. Are you facing such issues in this process that you are already underway, with the process that is already underway?
I am happy to say, fortunately not.
I see.
The way we had thought that, there will be some kind of reservation among the services. But, what I find is a large amount of the, old veteran community who are of the old thought do come out with some kind of reservations, like I've been hearing about, how are you going to diversify air resources? I read an article where somebody said if you have to go in for Air Defence Command and you've got to go in for these joint commands or integrated commands, then you need 60 squadrons of Air Force. Well, I want to say things have changed. I think this is an old thought process. And I would like to give an example. There was a time when Air Force used to provide air support, close air support to the Army. And in those days, we used to look at air support in terms of numbers. What are the number of sorties that the Air Force will give to the armed forces for any particular operation. So we used to count air support in terms of sorties. Air Force has changed. Now when we talk about sorties, we say, why are you asking for sorties? I have now got aircraft which can be multitasked. So anything which can give you support can also do air defense, can also do fighter operations,
Sure.
can also do electronic warfare operations. So therefore, don't start counting in terms of sorties. You give us the task that you want and we will accomplish it. And don't ask us what aircraft will come there. Leave it to us how we have to, load that aircraft.
Will know that.
You give us the objective and you tell us what is there. And we will then arm the aircraft, and it could be multitasked. It will also do your task, so it is not dedicated to you. So what happens if the Air Force has transformed in that way, which we have now accepted that yes, we have to move forward from counting, air support in terms of sorties, right, to task-oriented Air Force air support missions. In the same way, if you have limited number of squadrons, you can always have some squadrons dedicated for air defense,
right,
some dedicated to the theatre commands, basically for integration and understanding each other, so that you work together, you train together, and the balance of the squadrons can be kept under the command of a particular service to be made a lot depending on priority. And I would like to give an example of how we deal with artillery.
right.
We have an infantry division, which is the standard formation of the Indian Army. A division has an artillery brigade.
Sure.
It has finite resources, to say that
Of course.
you have 3 field regiments, 1 medium regiment, at times a light regiment and a SATA battery. So these are the resources. But is that sufficient to enable the division to execute a task? No. So when a division is given a task, it is given additional resources from other sectors, from other formation, depending on who needs how much of resource. So, you have something called units being put on priority call, units being in support, in direct support, and other ways. You have something called superimposed artillery, and that is how reinforcing artillery. So that is how you build up the strength. So I think there is a way in which we can move about things, and I think to say that because of this you will need 60 squadrons is not the best way of looking at it. I think today the air forces, the aircraft are very capable. It is no longer the old machine.
They are multitaskers.
Yes, today we've gone into the fourth generation aircraft are now coming in, and we are heading now to the fifth generation. We are looking at the fifth generation coming in 7 to 10 years from now.
Exactly.
So when you have these kind of aircraft, your capability has increased, and if your capability has increased, your system of war fighting must undergo a change.
Exactly.
At the same time, you have to also look at non-contact warfare.
Sure.
We have to also focus on the cyber, the information, the issue of special forces, how are they going to operate,
Right.
and space. So all these things will now have to be dovetailed into your war fighting machinery.
Yeah.
And therefore, I think there is a need. So there will be some kind of centralized control on some assets, but some of the assets will have to be decentralized to the theatre commanders for them to conduct operations. But it does not mean that the theatre commander is going to conduct operations on his own. He will have the support of the other theatres, depending on who's executing the main task. Where is the main effort?
And what is the threat?
Yes. Where is the main effort?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So you're moving from assets-based forces to capability-based forces, if I may, sort of sum up what you just said. But maybe a couple of final thoughts on this. What are your timelines if you have thought about these first three things that you have talked about? Do we expect them to be, say, operational or at least finalized or cleared, the theatre commands that you spoke about, maritime, the air defense and the logistics command? Do you see them coming up by 2021 or what's the timeline?
Well, the executive instructions for the raising of the air defense command, we are hopeful of issuing the directive by end of this year, and then they start taking shape. And according to me, in 1 or 2 years, the air defense command should be fully functional. Same is the case with the maritime command. By maybe early next year, we should be giving them the executive directions. And again, in 1 to 2 years, they should begin to take shape. And as far as the integrated or joint commands are concerned, these again by next year end, I think we should be able to issue the executive directions, and then transformation starts. So our idea is that in the next 2 to 3 years, the directions are issued and the transformation begins to happen.
Correct.
It may take another 2 to 3 years for it to fructify, but I think the process of transformation should start happening.
So we are basically looking at a 5-year window for implementation, let's say. Starts it and then you implement it and then it gets stabilized as we go along. But just one small clarification before I end. You spoke about Andaman Nicobar Command maybe dovetailed into or merged into the Maritime Command. Is that the thought process now instead of Peninsular Command?
Yeah, because when we were talking about the Peninsular Command, it was felt that it has got a very defensive mindset. The Navy and the other supporting agencies must now look at Indian Ocean region as one entity.
Sure.
So if that has to happen, then obviously the Andaman Nicobar Command, which lies within the Indian Ocean region, and we are very fortunate to have this kind of territory,
exactly,
which belongs to us in the IOR. It dominates the IOR. So if we are going to look at a maritime command,
right,
then it may become one command, which is which also takes under its wings the Andaman and Nicobar Command.
And you've spoken about also giving role to, I mean, there would be I guess the Northern Theatre Command, Western Theatre Command, all that will come as we go along. But the basic thing here, and the final question that I have, is about availability of resources or availability of funds. Clearly, the budgets are going to be squeezed, as we know. So, optimization of resources is something that you would be interested to look at from what we know. So, there, how are you working? How are you getting prioritization done?
Firstly, this entire effort of integration, whether you are calling Air Defense Command, the Maritime Command and the Theatre Commands, will in itself lead to some savings, in the sense that, rather than working in 3 separate verticals, you will now be working horizontally. So when you work horizontally, you will find that you will be saving a lot on your communication assets, you will be saving a lot on your logistics, a lot of your maintenance systems, because today you have separate maintenance systems because we are working in silos. But when you integrate, so of course savings will come from there. The other thing is, we do understand there will be constraints on budget. But let me tell you one thing, the government has repeatedly told us that as far as your transformation is concerned, we will keep supporting you. We do understand this time because of COVID-19, there could be some pressures, but then we have to learn to live with that. And in the long run, what we are looking at is that we draw a roadmap under the DMA to say what is our requirement over the next 5 years, go to the government, work out the minimum and the maximum, as I said, acceptable and desirable.
Correct.
We work out the bottom line and the top line. Simultaneously with this, a lot of effort is also being made by the Department of Defense, working closely with the Ministry of Finance to see how else can we generate resources. So we are looking at, in some way, monetization of land. In some cases, some other mechanism are being worked out.
Sure.
At the same time, let me tell you, we are also trying to walk the extra mile. We are seeing that can we reduce the pension budget to a limit, pension pay budget,
Sure.
by increasing the ages of retirement.
You mentioned that, yes.
Yeah, although the people say these are very baby steps, but let me tell you, in the long run, we have to see what are the savings.
True.
In a particular area, you may say, it is only giving you about 3,000 to 4,000 crores. But gradually, as you move forward, you will find that this thing will, as it begins to take shape, you will start saving some money and adding that to your defense budget. Monetization of land is a very big thing that we are looking at. It will help us in addition to the other issues. So what we are saying is we are looking at some support from the government and some way where we ourselves are moving forward to generate funds for our ministry.
Internal resources,
Yes.
generation of funds that is happening. I think it's a very challenging task, but with the kind of quick thinking and the planning that you are doing, and the way the DMA is taken off, I think we have very big hope about the three services optimizing their resources and then working in a very joint and I would say integrated fashion in coming months and years. Thank you very much, General Rawat, for this very insightful, informative interview, and we'll keep coming back to you maybe 6 months later to ask what the progress is. But at the moment, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nitin.